The base is dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down Here. It's a Friday. I am now in Nashville getting ready for Nashville and Atlanta tomorrow. When you're in a hotel in Nashville, they have 40 vinyl records up on the wall. It's very cool. A few that I recognized, a few that I didn't, but very cool. Like in the digs, I am doing the tourist thing today. Shutting down the soccer thing for a while, and I'm going to go to the Country Music Hall of Fame. I'm going to go to the Grand Ole Opry tonight. I'm going to do all of the Nashville tourist things that I've never done. I know I came to Opryland when they had the theme park when I was a little kid, but I don't remember it. I've seen pictures, so I know I was here, but haven't done any of the other like touristy things like that. And when I say touristy things in Nashville, no, I am not talking about the carts, the drunken carts that go around town. I'm not talking about all the bridesmaids parties that happen on a hourly basis in Nashville. I'm not talking about Kid Rock's bar and saloon and honky tonk and all that. I'm talking about the other touristy things. That's what I'm going to do. A quick question for you guys before we jump into all the soccer news, because we got a bunch today. Favorite classic country artist, John, who is it for you?
Garth Brooks.
That's not really that classic, but
it kind of, I mean, it's 30 years ago now.
It's like a different level of classic. When I'm saying classic, I'm going before that. Yes. Jarrett knows all the very Nashville terms. I would say older than that, John.
Ooh, Johnny Cash.
Okay, there you go. That's classic. Jarrett, who is yours?
I have anti-Johnny Cash sentiments, which we've discussed before. We don't need to go do that again. Ooh. Nick will find me.
I will find you.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Should have let that
Charlie
goose
Pride.
take care of you. I should have let that goose finish you off on Tuesday. Charlie Pride is awesome. Since I don't want to trigger Jarrett to start the show, I would say Johnny Cash.
No, that's fine. To each their own. To each their own. He's just not. He's talented. He was a brilliant songwriter and a brilliant. And if he had not picked up a guitar and had just been like a poet,
yeah,
I mean, same thing. He would have changed the way people listen and consume things in that sense. Just not my cup of tea. But yeah, Charlie Pride was more what I enjoyed. That sort of thing. So.
Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard were two that kind of brought me back into classic country stuff when they did. Johnny Cash did American Recordings with Rick Rubin, and Merle Haggard released a couple of records very late, probably early 2000s. I don't even think it hit the 90s. But the one that I've been getting into more lately, and it's because of the Ken Burns country music documentary, which I cannot recommend enough. Watched it in the off season. George Jones, somebody that I always knew of, somebody that I always had the appreciation for, but maybe out of all the different genres that I have listened to and artists that I've listened to, maybe the best at emoting through a vocal. You can feel what he's feeling through his vocal, and it's just incredible. So George Jones would be mine right now, even though I still will smash a guitar over your head for your Johnny Cash slander, Jared.
That's fine. Okay. You're not the only one who's going to do that. So I am efficiently in line waiting for that beatdown to come.
Okay, fair enough. Fine. As long as you know it's coming.
You don't take a stance like that without knowing what's waiting for you on the other side.
Yeah, that's very true.
And when George Jones introduced himself to a younger audience with "I Don't Need Your Rocking Chair," then I thought that was a good reintroduction for folks who might have missed him the first time around.
Yeah,
Patsy Cline and Dolly are also a part of this conversation.
Very much so. Yeah. Patsy Cline, especially, somebody else that I've gotten onto more and more as I'm kind of going back into that. I grew up on country music. I've said it before. Randy Travis record was the first one I ever bought with my own money, and grew up on it and listened to it, and then got into everything else. And I'm very musically schizophrenic, but I've been going back into the older classic stuff. So that's where I am right now. That's where I will be the rest of the day. But before I get there, we got to talk about everything going on in the soccer world. And big news this morning, Marco Rosa fired at Borussia Dortmund, or they agreed to part ways or whatever. One season after he left Borussia Mönchengladbach, Borussia Dortmund is a revolving door on the player roster side and on the coaching side these days. And for a long time, the number 2 team in Germany, they're not going to be able to hold that, and they're not going to be able to close the gap to Bayern if it is constant change. Erling Haaland leaving, now Marco Rosa leaving. It looks like they're going to go back to the interim who was there before Rosa took over. That was Edin Terzic, 39 years old. He was the interim after they fired Lucien Favre in December of 2020. Did win the cup with Dortmund before moving into a technical director role to make room for Rosa. Looks like he's going to take the job going forward, but they've got to find some continuity if they're going to bridge this gap. It was not a good year for Marco Rosa. He did have work to do in terms of getting the roster where he wanted, didn't really get that, did have issues with injuries. There's real things that happened to him that, okay, he didn't have a good year, he's got excuses, but still, when it's just constant chopping and changing, you're never going to be able to bridge the gap to a powerhouse like Bayern.
No doubt. And I mean, Bern is already mentioning that he would argue Leipzig is the number 2 team in Germany already.
Exactly. And that's where it's kind of turned into now, is because of this. And look, now Leipzig did their thing too, where they had Nagelsmann, he leaves. Obviously, you're not going to be able to compete there. You decide to go back to the past with style and go to Jesse Marsch. That doesn't work. You cut bait, you move on, and you fix it. Is Leipzig going to truly pass? I think you can make the argument now, but are they going to truly pass in all qualities? Are they going to pass Dortmund next year? Dortmund finished second. Leipzig finished fourth. It's a 11-point difference. So I'm not going to go there yet, but they absolutely can. And with now another change and with losing Erling Haaland, yeah, it's on the table. Leverkusen is the one in between them in the table as well. The battle for second is far more entertaining than the battle for first in the Bundesliga. And somebody's got to step out of that pack to be the true number 2 and really compete with Bayern in a year where Bayern wasn't that great. They had a bunch of different slip-ups at different points where you're like, whoa, is anybody going to be able to take advantage? No, they're not. That's Germany right now. So what does Dortmund do in the long run? Do they go to Terzic? Do they try to keep some continuity? I think that's the biggest thing they got to do. We'll see about Leverkusen and with Leipzig going forward. And then, there's Eintracht Frankfurt, who won the Europa League, went 10, 12, and 12 in league this year and finished 11th, but they're in the Champions League. Can they jump off of that? Big jump, but can they?
That is some fantastic DC United energy. Like, we're just going to be a hot mess in the league, but we're going to win a big cup.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you do what you got to do, man. That's what you can get out of it. You get out of it. So Borussia Dortmund will be looking for a new manager. Italy, we've got a very interesting conclusion to the season as Milan just has to take care of the business in front of them. They have a 2-point lead going into the last day. A draw is enough to get through. They are on the road at Sassuolo. It will be packed with Milan fans. Inter has to win and has to get help to win the title. Inter hosts Sampdoria on the last day, but the news about Milan this morning is off the field. InvestCorp had been trying to take over Milan for somewhere in the 1.1 billion euro range. Now it looks like Redbird is going to jump in front of them, 1.3 billion euro, which is insanity. The Elliott Management Group would keep a stake in the club. That price could go up all the way to 1.8 billion over the coming years. Redbird, if you don't know, U.S.-based investment firm. They're owned by Jerry Cardinal, and they have a $750 million stake in Fenway Sports Group, which owns Liverpool FC. So Milan could be celebrating a title and new ownership very, very soon. they have to get this done, right? Nyc Hosting, don't even listen to this portion of the show. Just mute it and move on with your day, because I know you're not going to hear anything resembling logic right now, but they have to get this done, right, Jared?
You mean the sale or winning Scudetto?
Winning the Scudetto. They can't control the sale right now. They can control winning the Scudetto on the field.
Yeah. I mean, you have to get it done. You've been an obscenely good team on the road. You're going to have basically half the people in the city of Milan traveling to the game, probably. If you don't get it done, it will haunt you for a long time. A long, long time. And Inter will sing songs about you. And Inter will sing songs about that day. So my advice is to get it done. And don't leave it dramatic like Everton going down 2-0 and having to get 3 goals.
Oh, man.
Don't do that. Just make it boring. Do like Atlanta did in New York in the Eastern Conference Final, where like they almost score off the kickoff, and then it just turns into like 90 minutes of putting their hand on Red Bull's head and keeping them at a safe distance. Just make it boring.
That would be the way to do it. Get a couple of goals in the first 30 and just ride it out. I think they get it done. I think they take care of business. I don't think Sassuolo is going to put up much of a fight here. So in the next week, Milan could be celebrating 2 things. Dedicated new ownership that could invest very nicely into what is a team that should be the Serie A champions. So keep an eye on all that. We'll see if Nyc Hosting is still functioning on Monday night when we get to soccer over there. Jarrett mentioned Everton, second half comeback. They were down 2-0 at halftime. They scored 3 times to get full points. They have ensured their safety. So now the relegation battle is Burnley and Leeds. Burnley has the goal difference advantage. It's massive. Leeds has to get a better result than Burnley on Sunday. Burnley can match the Leeds result and be safe. Burnley is at home. They host Newcastle. Leeds is on the road at Brentford. First off, John, since you are the England correspondent, Everton and what they did yesterday, your thoughts?
Absolutely crazy. And I think that even for the casual observer, if you were looking at your Twitter timeline and you saw 2-0, I think at the point it was 2-0 at the half for Crystal Palace. Everton, I think, was a plus 1350 at that moment to come back and get the win. And Michael Keane gets the first one in, and you're kind of sitting there going, okay. And just the energy all day at Goodison Park watching the broadcast was amazing. And, checking in on the Twitter, on the Twitch pitch with Ropes and the Airborne DJ, I think they may have officially recovered by now.
Probably not.
Then Richarlison gets the second, and then off a set piece with 5 to go, they get the third one in. And it was a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and then you have your pitch invasion, which delays things for about 5 minutes, and then they hang on. But now just absolute great scenes yesterday from Goodison Park, and now we're down to the final 2 to figure out that last relegation spot.
Yeah, some good scenes, some really disgusting scenes as well. We'll get into that. Pitch invasions are not good anymore, folks. They're going to have to be stopped. Frank Lampard, please don't encourage the idiots. Yes, they're great if nobody does anything stupid, but I think people have shown way too consistently that they are not capable of not doing anything stupid, and we'll get into that. Talk about the top of the table. Manchester City, they got a match or better Liverpool's result to win the Premier League title. City hosts Aston Villa. Liverpool hosts Wolves. Jared, are you expecting anything crazy here?
I'm not really expecting anything crazy. Am I hoping for crazy? Yeah, pretty much. You know what? Hey, man, give me basically like, hey, can we recreate the Manchester City, Manchester United Aguero moment again?
93-20 all over again.
Yeah. I want this to come down to like Manchester City snatching another title in the 93rd minute. Be fine with that. Or someone snatching a title from them in the 93rd minute. It's lined up appropriately for things to get weird.
Yeah, I mean, you have Stevie G on the sideline for Villa, so that's going to add to the potential weirdness, but he's not going to turn back the clock and play. And Villa is Villa. I don't know how much they can actually do to harm Manchester City in this one. The last European spot, or
if
the
anyone
last
can make
Champions-
somebody slip up, it's Stevie G.
Jeez.
Oh, he went there.
John didn't even get it initially. God, Jared, yeah, we got to get you something new on old Stevie G at some point,
Nope.
please.
Nope.
Man, that man, he's going to come in with a guitar because he probably loves Johnny Cash. The last,
you're telling me then he loves
spot.
Jeff Jarrett.
Yes, there you go.
That too. The last Champions League spot is up for grabs. Tottenham 2 points ahead of Arsenal. Tottenham, if you remember, and I think Gary Lineker was making a funny earlier this morning, I would hope, with his comment about Tottenham suffering from food poisoning. Last time the situation happened, I think between these two, I think it was the last time it came down to these two for spot number 4. Tottenham had the infamous lasagna gate and food poisoning and lost on the last day and fell out of a Champions League spot. They are 2 points ahead of Arsenal. Spurs are at Norwich. Arsenal are hosting Everton, who will probably be hungover. What are you expecting here, John?
I'm expecting Tottenham to win. It's Norwich, and
what if they have food poisoning and have to deal with it?
Oh, then I still think that Everton still being hungover, if Everton's hungover, then that helps out Arsenal. But
yes.
I think that I was trying to do math in my head, which is dangerous.
That's painful. Don't do that, please.
No, and so no, if and I'm seeing other reports and things. Harry Kane is feeling ill, but it's not ill enough. He's postponed a public appearance today. So depending on what happens, I think Spurs get it done. I really do.
Harry Kane's kind of a flu game.
Multiple reports about no food poisoning outbreak. I think Gary Lineker might have been making a funny, but there have been multiple reports about Harry Kane feeling unwell. That is accurate from multiple different people. So great. They just have to take care of Norwich, who is not going to be hungover here from celebrating anything. They might just be hungover from a long season. I think they'll get it done. I think it will be okay. Not too concerned about that. Manchester United and West Ham chasing the last Europa League spot, 58 points to 56. Manchester United at Crystal Palace. West Ham at Brighton. Does Manchester United hold on to the last Europa League spot? Jared.
I don't care, and I think it's incredibly stupid about the balance of Europe.
Hold on. Isn't the Europa League like the bastion of Scotland? Why are you being so mean to the Europa League?
Because of the fact that you can have that England's like the way the coefficient works is that England can have a team that everyone told. Well, not even no, it's not just an England thing. It can be a France thing. It can be a Spain thing. It can be a Germany thing. It's the fact that we have a team that basically, like, if you didn't tell me where they were in the table and you just talked to me about the talking points we've had for Manchester United for the last 8 months,
you wouldn't think they're in the Europa League. You'd think they're in the Conference League or some new.
I would think they're fighting relegation.
Yeah,
I would think they're fighting relegation, and they're in a Europa League spot. I need people to chill out a bit, I guess, is where I'm at. I'm sorry your blue blood didn't stick at the top like you were expecting. Hi, have you met Notre Dame fans? I'm sure y'all have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, basically. They're not good, but they're not as bad as people talk about it. It's like, I don't know.
Right there.
A lot of teams in the city of Atlanta and the conversation around it. I don't know. Like last year, the most of the season about the Atlanta Braves. It's how some teams are, and it's how some fan bases are, and how some conversations are. And Manchester United's always going to get a lot of conversation, but they're gonna finish in a Europa League spot. I think they take care of business.
I think they take care of business. They get a Europa League spot, and it'll be an opportunity for Erik ten Hag to come in off the summer with a window to build this in his image. Go for the league, and then get some European games as well. And look, you're Manchester United, and it's Europa League. You're expected to not only get out of the group, you're going to be expected to win the group unless it's something really weird, and play after Christmas in Europe.
Yeah, Europa League has far more cachet than falling into the conference league, and you know
Please
where that
put them
can
in the
take.
conference league.
Oh, it'd be hilarious. It'd probably be very lucrative for a lot of teams in the Europa Conference League.
I got $10 and said Eric Ten Hag at least knows his competition, other than unlike Brendan Rodgers when this whole thing started.
True.
Granted, Rodgers understood it down the road, but man, that first time, oof.
Yes, he would get it eventually, I think.
Yes.
Now we do have to talk about the wonderful scenes that everybody's so celebrating with Everton fans rushing onto the field multiple times. First off, a Crystal Palace source told BBC Sport that security was a joke and that Christian Benteke was slapped during the first smaller pitch invasion that followed Everton's third goal. So you already have one. You have a player slapped. That's known as assault. It's not the same level of assault as Billy Sharp had to deal with, but it is assault. And then you're getting towards the end of the game. I don't know. Maybe you might think that the fans might run on the pitch again. Crazy idea that would happen. Just unbelievable. It only happened a few minutes earlier. But yes, at the end of the game, the Crystal Palace source said, they were goading players and staff, which is unacceptable. Go watch the video with fans goading Patrick Vieira.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal Palace source says, is it going to take another Billy Sharp incident, which just happened a couple of days ago, people, or worse, before people say fans shouldn't be allowed on the pitch?
Obviously, it's going to take something worse at this point.
Well, then they're a bunch of freaking idiots, and I'll try to censor myself before I get in trouble because I'm sorry, you've got to be sticking your head in the sand if you don't think the Billy Sharp incident was bad enough. That's one of the most horrendous things I've seen on a sporting surface ever from a fan running full speed into another person. Like I said, I've talked about concussions. I got a concussion at a soccer practice that changed my life. I got hit in the back of the head with a ball, and it changed my life. You get somebody charging into a person full speed, that's assault. That's potentially ending a career or worse. And if it's going to take something worse than that, then yeah, the people that are in leadership who are not understanding that that's about as bad as it gets should all be fired. Should all absolutely be fired. The people who were on site at Everton yesterday in charge of security should 100% be fired. Because Patrick Vieira, according to Crystal Palace people, told officials it wasn't safe. That's the quote. After the first pitch invasion. Wasn't safe. Despite the warning signs. Did anybody try to help Crystal Palace get off the field? No. No one. That's horrendous. Doesn't take anything away from Everton's great story of coming back in this game. I don't want Everton fans to get bent out of shape about that. But this is awful. And now you're finally starting to get the articles in the English media. Of course, after Sky Sports makes a big deal about Patrick Vieira involved in an altercation with an Everton fan.
The framing is absolute bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It is.
No, it is. It 100% is because they turned off the replies to the tweet first off. That's disgusting from Sky Sports. Patrick Vieira kicks out at somebody because they're in his face. We don't know what they said. I have no idea what they said.
And there's video of the guy allegedly flipping Vieira off his left shoulder before as a part of all of that melee.
It's all goading. They're all trying to get him to do something, and there is no security there. After there has already been a pitch invasion, there is no security for the opposing manager. There's no security for the opposing players. It's awful. And Frank Lampard needs to be a lot smarter with his post-match comments than saying, oh, no, it's all fine. It's all good. This is great. No, it's not. It's awful. And it's got to stop. Vieira wouldn't talk about it in the post-match press conference. It's got to stop. And it's not funny. And you know, there's been jokes made about, oh, well, in this league, you know, what manager would be most likely to smack a fan for running onto the pitch? I would hope all of them would be. Because the fans shouldn't be there. It's awful, and it's got to stop. And I'll get off the soapbox now because we have guests coming to the show. And Jarrett, we'll see you for the whip around, correct?
Sounds good.
Okay. We're going to talk to one of our favorite people who joins the show, and I want to ask him if this stuff has ever happened to him. Our Friday kick brought to you by Beyond Goals Mentoring. Michael Parkhurst joining the show. What's up, Michael?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm fired up this past week about what's going on in England with fans running on the field and launching themselves into Billy Sharp. Now trying to start something with Patrick Vieira. Have you ever been in that situation where there was a pitch invasion?
Thankfully, no. I've been on the field for like streakers and things, but not full on, masses of people. Thankfully,
it's something that we've seen pitch or court invasions or field invasions in the U.S. I can't think of many times that I've seen it where people have gone at the other team. I think we're seeing that happen more and more now, and it's got to be a point of emphasis for not just England, although that's where it's happened the most lately. It's happening everywhere. It's got to be a point of emphasis for leaders of the game worldwide. It's not safe for the players and the coaches.
100%. Absolutely. It has to be. I mean, I was reading a little bit about it afterwards, and I guess to exit the field, the team had to go to the other side of the field to get to their locker room. So all the players, on the bench, most of the guys on the field, they're having to go through a lot of people, right? And you don't know these fans that are, excited, probably have been drinking for a while. It just takes one of them to like headbutt you, like that coach got headbutted or slug you, and you don't know. I mean, you want to believe the best in humanity, but it's shown us otherwise in some instances. So you have to protect yourself. So honestly, I think that if a fan is, and especially multiple, are on the field, it's fair game. It's not to go out there looking for violence, but I'd rather protect myself than have a situation where that coach gets headbutted in the head. Could have a serious injury.
And sadly, you're having folks pointing in these incidents at the teams and the players and the coaches themselves. You see that moment where that individual's protecting themselves from an onrushing fan or a group of fans. And sadly, more often than not, and 100% in the most recent examples, they're looking, oh, look what this coach did. Oh, look what this player did, as opposed to what you're talking about, Michael, where you're trying to protect yourself in an environment where you're threatened, and it sets up a really dangerous narrative when you're only seeing part of the picture instead of looking at it in its full context.
Oh, definitely. 100%. And that's why fans aren't allowed on the field, right? That's why they're not supposed to be there, right? If they were not on the field, there would be no violence, right? Patrick Vieira wouldn't be kicking a fan. He's not going into the stands to kick a fan.
Right.
It's so different. If they come onto the field, then they've lost that protection. And it's the same in any sport. I don't care what the sport is, right? These athletes, right? Their body is their livelihood. And, it just takes one little thing from a stupid fan that's not thinking or, whatever. And it could be a real serious injury. And obviously you're thinking the worst right there, but you never know. And it's just a real bad situation overall. They need to take care of it. It's probably going to happen again this weekend. Fans see fans do it at other stadiums, and then it's a monkey see, monkey do, and they want to get on their own field. I mean, they did it during the game. It wasn't even, I know they did it after the game as well, but they did it when they took the lead and there was still 10 minutes left in the game or something. It wasn't the entire stadium, but it was like at least 100 fans on the field, just running around like they own the field, and it's just chaos.
It's dangerous. It's so dangerous. And luckily, although we're kind of waiting to see what could be the situation with Billy Sharp, the Nottingham Forest former player who was a captain for the opposition, who gets headbutted by somebody as he's standing on the bench afterwards. It's just hopefully nothing serious with Sharp. I don't want to see any charges brought against Vieira, even though Sky Sports seemed to be kind of leading that. Like, oh, look at what Vieira did. Look at what the fans did. It's gotta be stopped. They've got to deal with this, and they've got to figure out security going forward. I want to get into Atlanta United with you couple games since we talked to you last. And I think a lot of the things that we talked about in the attack, where things were coming together and chances were being created, but the chemistry was still building because they hadn't played together very much. Well, that's been corrected because you've got games consistently with Almada, with Moreno, with Araujo, and then Ibarra and Josechu behind him, Lennon and Gutman bombing forward. So that 7 has played together a lot. The center back pairing has had to change, unfortunately, because of the Achilles injury to Miles Robinson. It's been Alex DeJohn. We know the goalkeeper change, but I felt like both of the goals in the New England game were chemistry again, but from a defensive perspective, where you have the group that's just not on the same page, with Shuttleworth coming, stopping, and then the second goal where Alan Franco doesn't step out as everybody else is trying to step out. How important, I think most people understand generally how important chemistry is on the offensive side, but how important is it defensively, including a goalkeeper, to have a consistent group playing together?
Yeah, it's important. You like to know how far off a goalie plays off their line. What are they comfortable coming to come get? What do I have to be responsible for? Because it affects like how high up the field you play, and how dangerous can you hold an offside line? Those types of little things, right? If I go here, does my center back partner read those things, and does he cover, or is he out on an island by himself, or does he need a little bit more help in the air, or does he not read things behind runners in behind, where I have to look out for it a little bit more? Those are little instances, but the more you play with somebody, the more you understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how you can help that person, and how their strengths can help you. Just gives you a better sense. I will say, and I'll be a little critical here, that I thought both goals were on Franco. I don't think he did well on either of them. I know that second one, or the first one's a run in behind, but for me, you have to protect that space, and I didn't think he did it. And so we need him to play better for sure.
Yeah, he's been good individually, but he does have those moments from time to time where it's almost like it switches off. The second one, I think, was clear in the switch off in that moment where it looked live. I mean, we're almost right in line with it where our radio booth is. I thought he had timed it correctly, but it's a step off. If he goes a step earlier, then Books is off, and he does it, and he pulls it off. But
yeah,
those little moments of switching off.
That second one's so disappointing, because if you freeze frame it, like when I think when Leggett gets the ball, we've got about 5 guys, and they've got Leggett on the ball and Buxa, and that's it.
Yep.
Right. I think Carlos Heel had just been fouled. He's getting up, it's like 5v2, and how like we don't have enough pressure to block the cross, enough pressure to, it's just unfortunate because we had so many guys back.
Yeah, it all felt slow to develop how they wanted to defend it.
Yeah, agreed. So disappointing, but I will say that it was an entertaining game to watch, which was nice. Chances created on both sides, but Atlanta United, they looked promising going forward. I thought Amado was strong again. He is legit. He is a good player. So the attack looked good. I thought Ronaldo had some decent movements, had some chances. So definitely promising in that regard.
So then let me go to the other side of the current center back pairing and talk about Alex DeJohn a little bit. Here's someone who has been ready to go. I mean, he's been that guy who's given all at practice, and you've been around those guys who are 100% at practice, ready to go when their name's called, and they just jump right in. And we're seeing in Alex DeJohn someone who is well liked by his teammates on the roster. I mean, all you could do really is go back to the birthday cake incident, and you sit there and he's surrounded and all that kind of stuff. But here's a guy who's there 100% of the time. His name is called, and he's showing up and showing out so far. What have you thought about Alex so far in his first handful of matches?
Yeah, I think he's been good, right? And some of it comes to expectations, right? He's a lower paid center back, an MLS guy. They trade for him. So, you don't expect him to come in and have to be a superstar and play well and lead the line in that, right? He's third, maybe fourth choice center back when everybody's healthy. And he's come in and done the job, right? You know that there's a ceiling there. You don't expect him to dominate, and he's a little undersized like me, so he's not going to dominate in the air, but I think he's been solid, and that's really all you can ask for. He's really come in and done the job, and now somebody that you can rely on, back there that's filled in nicely. So kudos to him for taking his opportunity and doing well with it, because I think that now he's kind of earned that spot there for the time being.
Yeah, I think it's something about center backs, and the position better than anybody, that consistency, that steadiness, and Alex has brought that. I think George Campbell, when he gets fully healthy, he's going to compete for time. He was earning it earlier before the injury. He's had some up and down moments at times. He's been pretty steady, but he's had some up and down moments. We talked about it with Franco. How hard is it for younger guys like Campbell and Franco's still a little younger to get to that consistent point? Is it just playing through it? Is it sitting down and looking at the mistakes? Like, what is it that gets you from good but inconsistent to consistent?
Yeah, I think it's definitely some experience helps, no doubt about it, right? Understanding how to get over mistakes within a game to game, right? How do you react to those things? But also taking a look at what's leading to the inconsistencies, right? What am I doing out on the field that's causing some of these things? And for some players, it's a case of being over aggressive and being a little bit too risk taking, where you have to be a little bit safer, or switching off on certain aspects of the game. So understanding what is causing it and then learning how to correct it. But that takes the onus is on the player there a little bit. If you don't have a coach that's doing it, to actually go back and look, because a lot of times when you make mistakes, you don't want to rewatch it, right? Like, shoot, I had a stinker. Like, I don't want to rewatch that and put it in my head again. But you have to really understand, like, what's going on. Why am I giving up these goals? Why are my performances so up and down? And it's not unheard of to bounce back from it. Like, a perfect example is Jonathan Mensah for Columbus.
Yeah,
I think when he first came into the league, like, he'd have a game where he was the best player in MLS, and then the next two games he would be like passing the ball to the other team, leading directly to goals. And I think for his first season, maybe even 2 seasons, he was just so up and down. It was like, oh my goodness. And then things started to click for him, and he's up there for Defender of the Year, leading the team to MLS Cup, right? He's become a lot more consistent. So it's definitely something you can bounce back from and get over.
I think when you get into the kind of Atlanta United DNA and the Atlanta United way, and it's not always easy to define, but one thing from the defensive standpoint that I think is obvious is that consistency is prized, because we've seen it with you, we've seen it with Miles, because at so many times in a match, that defender, that center back especially, is going to be isolated, is going to be 1v1, is going to be 2v1, and is going to have to make the right decisions under that pressure. Whereas in other teams where maybe they do sit back a little bit more, maybe there's more protection, that inconsistent center back that comes from the side that you were talking about, that's very aggressive, you can do that when you've got more cover. But in the way that this team will play, you've got to be consistent and steady, because you're just going to be in situations that are tough.
Definitely. I learned that for sure quickly under Tata, where I was in a lot more space, a lot more one-on-ones than I ever had been. And you have to play a little bit differently. You can't take the risks. You have to learn when you can win the ball and when you don't have to win the ball, right? When you just have to be goal side, wait for support and help, and know that, as a defender on Atlanta United, you don't have to be a difference maker, right? You've got plenty of difference makers on the other side of the field. So you just do your job and try and keep guys in front of you and prevent goal scoring chances. Like, you don't have to be the guy starting every counterattack and winning tackles and doing all that, right? It's other teams, it's a little bit more valuable, but Atlanta United has enough attacking talent where, you just do your job and you'll be fine.
When you and Greg are having your conversations with younger players, what is that like when you're discussing the idea about just, getting over mistakes, getting past mistakes, and at the same time, finding that balance where you're not over aggressive 100% of the time, but you don't turn around and go 180 degrees to where you're playing risk averse. What are those conversations like with younger players when you talk about mistakes and staying within yourself?
Yeah, we talk a lot about having a goldfish mentality, and that's from the TV show. Now I just lost it in my head.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, that's right. The goldfish mentality of forgetting mistakes quickly, forgetting what just happened, because you can't control what just happened, but 100% of the time you can control your reaction to what happens, right? And a lot of life in general, but especially on the soccer field, is how you react to things that occur, right? One of the things I tell my kids all the time is life is not fair, right? It is not fair. But how do you react when those unfair circumstances come up, right? You might have a perfectly timed tackle, right? But somehow it bounces off the attacker. He runs through it and, gets a chance, gets a goal, whatever it might be, even though you played it perfectly. Those things happen, right? But we talk a lot about the mentality of not dwelling on the mistakes, but and not thinking that just what did occur or the bad things that have occurred don't necessarily mean that they will continue to occur or will occur next, right? You control still what happens next within your own actions, right? It doesn't absolutely mean that things are going to continually go bad. So that's some of the mentality aspect that we talk about.
We talked about that riskiness and playing risky, and I think Atlanta will always have an element of risk in the way that they play. Where do you feel like this current edition of Atlanta United is in terms of how risky they are in the way that they play? Because I know Tata kind of pushed things, especially early, maybe at the end of 18, it came back a little bit and got a little more conservative. I know it got more conservative in 19. Hindsight, we didn't see a ton of, but I don't know. I feel like this one, with how involved Lennon and Gutman are getting forward, that this is about as risky in a way that Atlanta plays to try to put the other team under pressure. Feels like this is the riskiest Atlanta United team.
Yeah, and that's it's probably even riskier because of personnel, right? If you've got Miles back there, you're saying, yeah, it's risky, but we're good. And so with this center back pairing, you think that maybe you have to be a little bit safer, just, given the skill set, to provide a little bit more cover. But, Rossetto, to be, fair to him, he's done a lot of work in there, helping out the center backs. He's covered a lot of ground. So he's definitely blossoming into that role. Because I think when he first came, I thought he was more of an offensive minded player. I thought he was going to be like a number 10. But, it seems like he's done a really good job of being in front of those center backs and helping them out a little bit. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Lennon's always going to be a guy that wants to get forward, and we need him to get forward. And I think that, I think maybe last time I was on, we talked about taking more risks and being more offensive minded, because at the time we were struggling to score goals. And so I'm glad that the team is like that right now, right? You rather tie that game 2-2 and have chances to win and feel decent about the performance and know that you can correct some individual and maybe some collective mistakes on one end, rather than, you have a snoozer of a 0-0 because you're afraid to open up. So I think it's progressing well. But yeah, it will always be risky. You're right. But that's going to lead to exciting soccer too.
Yeah. That midfield duo, I think, is one of the underrated parts of this team right now, with Hosechu and with Franco Ibarra at 21 years old, starting to show more of his total game, because he was a ball winner when he showed up, and now he can be on the ball and it's not a concern. He's shown, along with Hosechu, that they can form that backboard for that attacking trio in front of them. Yeah,
you're totally right. I should have mentioned Ibarra earlier as well, but yes, totally agree. And those guys have understood their roles, and we talk about that a lot, right? Understand your role within a team. Those guys do not need to be scoring goals and dribbling 40 yards up the field and everything. It's win balls, keep possession, get it to your playmakers in front of you. Join in on the attack when you can, but safety first, right? And understanding that and seeing that. So they've done a really good job of understanding that and not only understanding it, but going out there and actually doing it and having success.
Now, you mentioned Hasetsu and understanding your role. Part of his expanded role over the last couple of matches is that he's now wearing the captain's armband. And with that, I wanted to ask you about the first time that you got to wear the armband and how it amplified what you were doing as a player and what it means to wear the armband and what you're thinking about what you're seeing from Hasetsu wearing the armband so far.
Yeah, I think that when you have it, you have a little bit more of an added responsibility. You feel a little more added responsibility that more eyeballs are on you within the team and outside of the team. So, some guys, it helps them play up to a potential, up to a level, because they know, okay, well, now with this, I have to do this, right? And I think that's what you're seeing a little bit with Acosta in Cincinnati, right? Mm-hmm. You probably didn't view him as a captain material, but I see, watching Cincinnati recently, it seems like, he's somebody that's really embraced it and he's taken his game to the next level. And I think similarly, maybe with Rosetto and, what it's done with his game. So that's the perfect response to getting the armband, rather than like, oh, I have to play out of myself. Oh, I have to be someone I'm not. That type of attitude when you have an armband, can be the opposite. And so I think that he's done great with it.
Yeah, I really thought he was trying to lead by example in the last match, leading the press, really taking good chances, not risky chances, but good chances, pushing the team higher up to press. I was totally impressed with Hasetsu as the captain, and I'm expecting we'll see that again tomorrow in Nashville. Nashville, we know can defend. We know they've got Hani Mukhtar, one of the best players in the league. We know they can also kind of drop into playing long ball and looking for those second balls, and I think that's something that's given Atlanta some trouble in the Open Cup match. What is it about Nashville that you think can be difficult for Atlanta tomorrow night?
Yeah, having the patience, I think, right? Nashville is a good, solid team, right? But they are nothing incredibly special, right? Mukhtar, I love Mukhtar. I figured out the other day, like he's special. He's a good player, right? But I think outside of him, you look at like Sapong and Mule and Dax, and they're just good players, right? You are going to get a solid shift from those guys. They are not going to cheat at all. They're going to work their tails off, do things the right way, and they're good players. But it's nothing special, right? These guys are not going to beat you one-on-one and deliver those performances where it's totally game changing, right? They thrive in that team environment. So in that sense, it can be, and obviously no one takes Nashville for granted these days because they're one of the best teams. But I think that Atlanta United sometimes can get off guard with, okay, maybe we can push 9 guys forward because, Nashville's sitting back and, they're nothing's too special up top. And then all of a sudden, like they break on you, and they've got Sapong who's strong and Mukhtar who can make a difference. And then, they can change the game a little bit. But I don't know. You're right. You have to push forward a little bit though, because they are solid defensively. They've got a good, solid back line, and they know how to sit deep and defend. So I think that's what makes it challenging. But I think the team should have confidence coming from the last game there. They scored a couple goals. They played well. Obviously, they got tired late, and he gave up that late equalizer. But I think that game gives you confidence going into this weekend.
And at the same time, I think that something else that I know a lot of folks are looking at that can bring a smile to folks' faces is seeing Joseph out on the practice pitch. And in whatever form it is, as he's gradually coming back to full song. When you're coming back from an injury and you get those first moments, what's it like to be back out there? Knowing that you have a self-expectation, but what's it like to see Joseph back out there and hopefully getting closer to what we're looking at for Atlanta United too?
Yeah, I think mentally it's a boost for the team to know that he's getting there and he's getting closer. But for him, it's just pure joy, right? I think that when you're injured, you realize that you take for granted when you're healthy and feeling good, because when you're injured and you're on the sideline, you have a tendency to look at all those other guys and be like, man, how are they all healthy, right? How is nothing, there's so many little injuries that could happen, right? How are all those guys healthy and I'm not right now? That's a little feeling that you get in your head. And so when you get out there, you really enjoy being out there again. I think the biggest thing for Joseph coming back now will be the mental aspect of, it's the same injury a few times now. So that hurdle mentally of, am I actually okay? And only Joseph will know that, but hopefully he can get over that, after he gets a game or, some training sessions, some full training sessions and gets that confidence. But when I spoke with him when I was in Atlanta, I saw him and I'll tell you, he felt confident about it. And I was worried about it. I was worried about him because, it was the same injury and you kind of get that feeling like, man, am I ever going to be healthy again? Right. And he's getting a little older now. And, I was concerned that he might feel that way. And he didn't. He felt like, I think they actually fixed it this time. It feels different. It feels better. And so that gave me a lot of confidence to know, okay, he's going to come back. He's going to be good.
Yeah, I had to have given him a lift this week, even just getting him on the training pitch to head into this one. I'm not expecting to see him tomorrow. I'm not putting anything past Joseph Martinez, but I'm not expecting him to see him tomorrow. Maybe we see him before the June break, but just an emotional lift heading into this game, which will be a difficult one. I want to finish with this with you, though. A couple of other coaches around the league that that have really impressed me with their work. Nico Estevez in Dallas, who I think is a cup contender this year, and a team that I wasn't quite sure if they were for real, but man, the wins they're piling up right now, Austin and Josh Wolf. What is it about Josh and Nico from your experience that has set them up for this level of success right now?
I think they both learned from Greg. They were around Greg for years, and Greg is a very, very good coach on the field and sees everything in tactical analysis and video analysis. So I'm sure those guys are implementing a lot of those things. I see the style of play Josh plays with Austin is very similar to what you see with Greg and how they play. So I think they're taking those elements. And I love Josh's staff, his surrounding staff. It's really good. I don't know Nico's too well, but I think they learned from one of the best. And so that helps, right? And it also helps that, Josh maybe was given a little bit of security from ownership, right? They didn't have a great season last year, but, to come back here and start the season off well, how they did. He gets an extension pretty quickly now, which is awesome for him. And I love watching Austin play. Dallas as well. I'm also happy for Pat Noonan up in Cincinnati. He's a former teammate of mine. He's doing great with his opportunity up there. I'm glad he's turning things around up there. Really happy for those guys. Love to see good young coaches from MLS, especially, do well with their opportunities.
Man, Noonan is one of the most underrated players in MLS. One of the most talented guys that doesn't get enough acclaim back in that period of the league.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career, but wow, he was something else.
So creative.
His chop was, I think, second only to Preki. But man, could he chop a soccer ball? You couldn't defend that guy.
Yeah. Last one, you mentioned Greg, U.S. men's national team roster coming out later today for a couple of Nations League games, couple of friendlies in June. First time without Miles on it after the injury. What do you think Greg does at center back without Miles?
I was speaking with Jimmy Conrad the other day on his podcast about it. And, I think it would have opened the door for Chris Richards, but he's either injured or he had a long injury. So he hasn't played in a while. So I think the opportunity is there for Aaron Long. I think he's probably next on the pecking order. I know there's, Carter Vickers is there. The Wake Forest kid that's playing in Belgium is there as well.
Mackenzie.
Yeah, exactly. Mackenzie. Yeah. So, there's competition there. But for me, it's an opportunity for Aaron Long to take that position. I think he was there before his ACL or his Achilles.
Yeah, he was Achilles too.
But it seems like he's playing well. And the Red Bulls have had a good start to the season, so I think that's what I would do. But it'll be interesting to see. It's a big void.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. We'll be talking. How's everything going with Beyond Goals? Y'all staying busy?
Yep, staying busy, doing well, getting out there and reaching more people, which is nice. Greg did a couple schools the last couple of weeks, working on something with the Boys and Girls Club. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk to you here soon. Thank you for the time. Hopefully we'll see you in Atlanta soon. When are you making another trip down?
I know. I was just talking about that with my wife. I need to get down there and catch a game. I need to see the schedule and see what's going on. But I will definitely be down there this summer.
Cool. We'll see you soon, and we'll see you back on SDH fairly soon, too. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Have a good weekend, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Make sure you are following MF Parkhurst on Twitter and on Instagram. Make sure you're following what is the Twitter one? I always mess up the Twitter one.
Mentoring.
BG Mentoring on Twitter, Beyond Goals Mentoring on Instagram, beyondgoalsmentoring.org for the website. Lots of big things coming for them. We'll talk to Greg next week, and I'm just really happy we get to pick Parky and Greg's brain a little bit on some of those things. I hope that you guys are appreciating the insight that they're both giving you, pretty much unfiltered in how they see the game from their experiences, how they're seeing it from the outside watching this team. But that DNA, that identity of how Atlanta United plays, yeah, the flavor might be a little different with Gonzalo Pineda, but it's not like a completely foreign way of playing for these guys who played in that kit and played in that stadium. They get it. They know what is trying to be accomplished here, and they can break things down to just such great degree. So, and it's the on and the off the field stuff. I mean, when you're talking about two guys who are leading a mentoring organization, they can get into that side of it as well. So we're just thankful to have those guys joining the show and giving us that kind of insight. We're also thankful for Eliminize helping us out as well. John, tell everybody about Eliminize.
I can certainly do that. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. No glare this week. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's Eliminize service, deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize service to eliminate all bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process, makes it easy to work with, said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment. We like that these days. A very green way about getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than your favorite masking agent that you have under the sink, because when you take that masking agent out from under the sink, you spray it in the air. That's why it's a masking agent. All it's doing is masking the odor. It's not attacking the problem. Proven scientific formula attacks the problem all the way down to the molecule with our friends at Eliminize. Pricing very, very easy. One of two ways. Either by the cubic foot or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, go to their website, eliminize.com. But do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are talking to them from. So your full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize service on a Friday leading us into the weekend. Proud sponsors of everything SDH.
All right. We'll get into the MLS Weekend Whiparound here in just a bit. That U.S. roster will come out at 3:30 today. It's for the June games. There's going to be 4 of them, 2 friendlies, 2 Nations League games. Really curious to see not just what the roster is, but then how it gets used. Maybe we'll hear a little bit from Greg Berhalter. Not sure if he's doing media availability after the roster drops. Typically he does. So really curious to hear like some of his thoughts, because people are going to ask about that center back situation. Is it Aaron Long who gets the opportunity? Somebody that Greg leaned on before his injury. Is it somebody like Cameron Carter-Vickers, who's coming off of a really good year at Celtic? I know Jarrett Smith will be campaigning for CCV. It's understandable. Is it somebody else? Is it kind of open season here? Do we see who gets that opportunity? Does he really not know who that would be? That'd be completely honest right now. Losing Miles, you're not really planning on that. So very curious to see that. We will have Bart Keeler on Monday to talk about the roster and such. We'll get into that as part of our Monday show. Rumors and innuendo worldwide. One that we haven't talked about this week, Rubio Rubin of RSL, formerly of the U.S. men's national team. He will be making his one-time switch to represent Guatemala going forward. He's not going to be part of the U.S. team going forward, hasn't been called up in a long time. He will be heading over to Guatemala to play for them in the next World Cup qualifying cycle and Nations League, et cetera, et cetera. Rumor and innuendo in Europe, Paul Pogba, target for Juventus. They want to bring him back. They also want to bring Jorginho from Chelsea, 30 years old. Juve, they like those old guys, eh? They really like the older players. They don't like those kids. It's something Italy's going to have to figure out across the board. It's not just a Juve thing, but they got to play younger players more. Reports out of France that Kylian Mbappe will announce a decision regarding his future on Sunday. All kinds of reports. El Chiringuito has been freaking out about all of this, saying that, basically Mbappe would be, I can't remember what word they used, not quite a traitor because he's not there, but it would be horrendous if he doesn't go to Real Madrid, and they would be very, very angry and all this stuff. There's also reports that he's signed personal deals with both, but one will be executed on Sunday, I guess. I don't know. I would not be shocked if he comes out on Sunday and says, well, my decision, it's down to these two, and I'll have to consider it more.
If you say no, you're a loser. Is what El Chiringuito is saying.
Yes, he's a loser if he says no to Madrid. I think they said some other things too, but we'll see. We'll see if he actually announces a decision or if he just makes a decision or makes an announcement about his future that is not fully a decision.
If he doesn't come, it's a betrayal.
Betrayal. There we go. That's what I was looking for. We'll see. But Sunday, he could say something about where he's going next, or he might just say something in general about his future. Who knows? Maybe he says where he's going out for dinner that night. I don't know. Memphis Depay is drawing interest from Everton, from Newcastle, from Arsenal. He's currently at Barcelona, 28 years old. Okay. Barca needs money to do, I think, the things that Xavi wants to do to remake that team more in his image. They are still chasing Lewandowski, although it sounds like the reports that they have talked, or Xavi and Lewandowski have talked. Fabrizio Romano threw some cold water on that. Welcome to silly season. It's pretty much 12 months a year at this point, but it intensifies at different points. So if they're going to do that, they need some money to come in. I think they could sell Frankie de Jong as well, and that will be a good chunk of money, and Manchester United will probably be banging on that door. But you could make a good bit of money on Memphis Depay as well if you decide that you want to go in a different direction. Also, you could make some money on Serginho Dest, and according to 90 Minutes, Manchester United have been offered the chance to sign Serginho Dest. And Serginho Dest, again, as we said, I think yesterday, anybody who has any relationship with Ajax, the Eredivisie, anything where maybe they were in the same coffee shop as Erik ten Hag at some point in their life, they're going to be linked to Manchester United right now. Is it accurate? Anyway, Arsenal ready to sell 26-year-old Nicolas Pepe, Ivory Coast winger. They signed for a club record £72 million in 2019. Yeah, they're going to sell him at a huge loss this summer. But if you're going to do it, be done with it. You already spent the money. You're not going to get it back. Deal with it and get something. Burnley's managerial spot is open. They are on the interim side of things right now, but Vincent Kompany's name has come up as a leading candidate if they stay up. He's not going to come if they get relegated, it sounds like. That's according to the Manchester Evening News. And from MLS, Adam Buxa, who we have talked about because he scored twice against Atlanta United from New England. European clubs looking at MLS talent in the transfer market. The New England Revolution are expecting offers to start coming in now that European seasons are wrapping up. There have been informal talks with European clubs, but nothing formal yet. He has been called up to the Polish national team. Very well could be part of the upcoming World Cup. Could be the duo with Lewandowski and Buxa up top for them. He's going to get interest. There were the rumors of him going to Pisa and Serie B in January, which none of that seemed to make a whole lot of sense, and it didn't happen. I don't know if that could be on the cards. Who knows? We'll find out. But Buxa going to Europe, not a shock. Not a shock at all. That is being rumored. One other thing I want to get into, I talked about it a little bit on Stoppage Time. I mentioned it here a while ago when it came out that IFAB was doing a trial on a new offside interpretation, law change, et cetera, et cetera. They did this. The only place I know that they did it, I typically, I think they do multiple trials in different places for comparison's sake, but I know they did it in the Serie A U18 league because it was reported on in the Italian media. They did this in the last third of the season, 63 games. There had previously been 23 rounds of play, 177 games. So you get enough for a basis of comparison. 9.8% increase in goals. Now, the change is one that we've talked about here on the show before. Offside is a law that previously had been very feel related. It was you're relying on the eyesight of an assistant referee to see if somebody is behind the last defender when the ball is played. The ball might be played way over here. You might be looking straight, well, you need to be looking straight in front of you, but you got to see when the ball is played and where the player is. It's really difficult. The idea was always, if it's close, give it to the attacker. Okay. Video assistant referees have changed that paradigm because you can look at it. If it is clearly and obviously offside, if you're not using the Hawkeye system, well, then you fix it. If you are using the Hawkeye system, which draws the lines, or some other system by a different brand, but it draws the lines of where everybody is, well, then it's yes or no. Where are they? Okay, he's off. The law is not written to give wiggle room because you can't define it that way. The law is black and white. And when you can actually judge it in black and white terms, well, then that's what it is. People get upset about this. I don't like the armpit hair offside or the toenail offside or whatever. That's always been there. You just couldn't always see it. Now you can. So the idea was to change the offside law to move from if any part of the body is offside, the player is in an offside position, to if any part of the body is onside, then you're in an onside position. So basically giving you a body length. Okay, that's what they're doing in this last third of the Serie A U18 league that has just concluded. 9.8% increase in goals, an increase of 0.35 goals per match. Of course, as they've started to talk about this, they started talking to former players and coaches, et cetera, et cetera. Attackers love it. Defenders and goalkeepers hate it. No shock there. There's still a line, and what some people have wanted to do with creating a safe space or whatever in terms of margin of error and all that. I mean, you can't define that in a law, really. That would be something a league would have to create as part of their VAR protocols. You're going to have a line that's in a different place, but it does get back to that feel of giving the attacker the advantage here when you can actually look at it and see it. I expected an increase. I'm not like, when I saw that number, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't blown away like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. I'm okay with a little bit of an increase on that. I think that fits back to where, just the idea of where the law should feel from before video assistant referees were involved. I'm okay with it. I think they need to continue to do more. They need to continue to test this more and get more out of it. But I'm okay with where that is. I'm okay with those kinds of numbers. And yeah, defenders and goalkeepers are going to hate it, but I'm okay with just a little bit more scoring.
I mean, so it was what 0.35
per game.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a 9.8% increase in goals in total. 3.571 goals per game in the first 23 rounds of play. 3.921 goals per game in the last third of the season.
No, I mean, it makes sense that defenders and goalkeepers would sit there and say they don't like it. But I mean, for me, it's like, okay, so it's 1/3 more, 1/3 of a goal more. And that doesn't seem like a completely astronomical amount here that you're dealing with. And I mean, that sounds fine to me. And I like the idea of how they've flipped it with what we've been talking about on the show for a long time. But no, I think that 0.35, that's decent. It doesn't blow the scale or anything like that and freak people out for the most part, I would think.
No, some people are just freaked out by change. In this case, I'm good with it. I need to see a little bit more. I'd like to see if scoring has demonstrably gone down a little bit with the inclusion of VAR, or maybe even if you can get more specific, if somebody wants to run this kind of a study, how many goals have been taken away versus how many goals have been added.
Yeah.
Because we have seen that as well, where a flag went up at the end of a play. It would have been offside under previous situations, but it was actually allowed to stand because of the new interpretations. I'd like to know how VAR affected offside decisions in goals and if it caused a decrease. I would think that it has.
Yeah.
How much does this offset that? Because if it does, then cool. It's all gravy. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
If it is more, I'm still okay with that because I don't think it's a demonstrably crazy amount more. I'm not somebody who feels like you have to change the rules to have more scoring. That's not kind of where my head is. But I don't hate if you change this to really get back to the feel that we had before. So I'm okay with it. I'm good with it. Let's see if Jarrett Smith is good with it.
What am I good with?
The change in the offside rule that has been trialed in Italy in the U18 Serie A league. We'll probably see more trials in the upcoming season of basically flipping. Right now, if any part of the body is offside, you are in an offside position, to if any part of the body is onside, then you are in an onside position.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Why are you acting like it's a giant deal? It only resulted in a 0.35 increase in goals per game, 9.8% increase in a third of the season versus, or maybe a quarter of the season versus 3/4 of the season.
No, I mean,
I don't think it's that big of a change.
Any part of the body is onside, you're onside?
It's basically a body length. Like if, where before,
So I'm just picturing this really
if
cool
your toenail
moment.
is off, then you're off. Now, if your toenail is on, you're on.
Yeah, now I'm just picturing some hilarious thing where somebody makes a run and just leaves that leg dragging behind to stay onside for a play. And
if you
it's
can
beautiful and
sprint
hilarious.
and drag a leg, I will to see how your body works.
Yeah.
You've seen me do a lot of athletic things that were very weird.
I've seen you do things that would be broadly in the realm of athletics, but I don't think you're managing that one.
It's not even about like trying to do it while sprinting. It's about like if you're playing that line and then you start making the quick, to break the line and to time the pass and you drag that leg behind, it'd be really cool to see.
I don't think you can. Like physically, I don't think you could do it because I get dragging the leg to draw a foul. Okay, you're trying to draw contact. You're leaving the leg. Carlos Vela knows it very well from this past week.
Yes.
You can do that. I get that. But if you're trying to time a run and you want to go, you got to push off.
You could always be offside and drop step onside and go. If you've ever taken that reverse step.
Do that now. Yeah, players do that now. So that just it moves the line.
Yeah,
is what it does.
It seems like, I think it sounds like a bigger deal, but in practice, I could see it not being as big of a deal.
I don't think you can rearrange your body movements to do the things like you're saying to take advantage of it. I think it just gives you more space. And defenders are then, does it make defenders stay deeper? That was what a lot of people said, this is going to eliminate the high line. No, it's not.
In Italy, that's not going to change.
Okay, Italian slander. I'm sure Nick will be fired up about that. He has to bash two guitars over your head now.
Yeah.
It maybe changes how quick you drop and things like that. It maybe changes teams playing offside traps, which I've never been a fan of, by the way. So I I want to see, I guess that's the next step for me is, okay, a league doing it. I want to see how the game flow changes, how the tactics change. I get the numbers. Cool. They're good enough for me. I'm not like, the numbers didn't jump crazy. Okay, cool. Now, how does it change the feel of a game? Does it change how a team defends? Does it change how a team attacks? Does it change tactics? I need to see that, because if it doesn't dramatically, I'm absolutely good with this rule change. I'm absolutely good with where this can go.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's just it seems like one of those things that would be a bigger deal until you put it in practice and you do everything at full speed.
You got to see
fine.
it. Yeah, like that's the thing. And FIFA and IFAB are generally really good about this stuff with trialing stuff. You've got to see it. Now you've got numbers to back it up. I'd like to see it personally and see what it actually does. We'll find out eventually. I would assume that more places will be involved in the trial. Generally, they'll go to like youth leagues. They'll go to, second or third divisions in different places. Give me 3 more next season. Let's see where we're at. Judge it in the first half of the season compared to the previous year. And then when IFAB meets in early 23, if you want to take this into account for the 23-24 seasons worldwide, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see where it's at. I think it has to change, and I'm good with this kind of a change. I mentioned Carlos Vela earlier about dragging the leg. Carlos Vela is in the news. Rodrigo Serrano of AS reporting, following up on some of the things we've talked about this week. Vela's current contract due to expire on June 30th. It's May 20th.
Tic-tac.
Kind of, yes. He could leave as a free agent during the summer transfer window. He would, if it was in the offseason, he would be a free agent for MLS purposes. We haven't had, since they added free agency, as far as I know, there has not been a player who became a free agent in MLS internal league classification, whatever. There has not been a free agent who emerged in the summer window. I don't think that has ever happened since they added free agency in MLS. You don't generally see players' contracts up in the middle of the season. Vela's is.
Because they don't write them that way. They write them till the end of the year, generally.
No, now they do write them that way in quite a few cases where you're getting somebody who is either on an existing deal and you're bringing them in, they're keeping their contract. Eric Remedi, I think, was one who was on a mid-season contract expiration, but then it was renewed before that season. Like that, it generally doesn't get to this point. You might have guys that you sign in the summer window that you do a 2-year deal with, but there's always that option to extend it 6 months.
Right.
And that's normally where you are. You don't have that with Vela. Vela, in the process, a few weeks ago, it was reported that he was in the process of signing a new designated player contract. No deal has been finalized, according to Carlos Vela. Quote, I mean, this is soccer because until you sign, nothing is for sure. The club and myself are working. Both sides are doing some effort to make this work. But at the end, when we both want the same thing, it could end well. I love playing in Los Angeles in the stadium with these fans. And if it is in my hands, I will be here and help this club win a trophy. I am doing my part, and we will see how things end. I'm going to try to read between the lines just a little bit there and say that, it sounds like he might be a little frustrated with how the club is handling this, because he's saying he wants to stay. He's saying that if it's in his hands, he would stay and he would see the season out or see however long a new deal would have him see out. But that hasn't happened yet. He sounds a little frustrated about the process on the club side of things. Mm-hmm. That's my attempt to read between the lines.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's what it sounds like. If I had my way, what you're sitting there and you're laying it all out there in the court of public opinion. And it's like, if I had my way, everything would be cool. This would be settled. But yeah, that sounds like a little kind of, if it were me, but it's not. So yeah, that absolutely sounds like transference to the club.
That was on AS, their English language section, not from ESPN or Fox or MLSsoccer.com or The Athletic or any of the other outlets that I think the last comment on Vela, I want to say it was Carlisle at ESPN. I might be wrong on that, who said that a new deal was almost done. And that was a while ago. So it doesn't sound, I mean, it sounds like they're working on it, but it's not done. And you're just a little over a month away, Jarrett. Like, I don't think it's a guarantee that he signs a new deal with LAFC.
It's not a guarantee. I mean, if I had to put money on it, if we're putting juice boxes down, let's see, what month is it? We're coming up on 4. We're in between holidays, so we don't really have anything festive to put in it. We got to put some
barbecue stuff.
Ooh, man,
stuff
barbecue
that you would have at the barbecue or at the cookout.
That's an entirely different conversation that people are going to have opinions about, and I'm not ready to open that can of worms.
Like, people don't have opinions about everything, Jarrett.
Yeah, but still,
what side dish at the cookout are you putting on this that he stays?
I'm putting a very high quality bowl of barbecue beans.
I'm assuming you like barbecue beans.
I do, if they're done right.
Okay, I don't.
Everyone has their different way to do it. The same thing with like potato salad. Like people get out of pocket on potato salad.
People can get stupid with potato salad. That is true.
But I am thinking he stays. I think they hammer this out. Now I could be wrong, but if you ask me to put down juice boxes on it, I'm putting juice boxes down that he stays.
90% that he stays?
Yeah. I think they make it. I think they get it done because I think LAFC, as good as they are this year, I don't think, and as good as they've been, I don't think they can afford to lose a talisman in the middle of this. I think they do whatever it takes to make sure this happens because look, they're second in the West right behind Austin. And I know, Jason, you're not as big of a believer in Austin, though
I am now. They've won me over.
Okay. There we go. But Austin still is a young team that is trying to make a statement for themselves, whereas LAFC is kind of revitalized. They have a better defense. We'll see if the Chiellini thing happens. I have very mixed feelings about that decision. Is if you're going to play him a lot, pick your spots with him, and he could be good. But my point being, I think LAFC is a team that is looking at this season and saying, this is a year where we can go get 1, maybe 2 trophies. So you don't lose your talisman, even if he's not playing to the same level he was in 2019, which is fine, by the way. Like, that's totally fine because 2019 was such an absurd year for Carlos Vela. Asking anyone to repeat that is setting them up for failure. I don't think you can afford to lose it.
No, I don't think you could either. I'm not 90% on it. I'm more like 65% that he stays. I think he should. I think he probably will. I don't think it's a guarantee. I will put potato salad on it at the cookout. And good potato salad, like mustard-based potato salad, not some of the weird ones that people will do that I just like, what are you doing? I want the mustard-based. I want the mustard potato salad. That's what I want. I want some egg in there. I want it to be
people in the Twitch page got some thoughts about their side dishes.
I'm sure they do, and I'm sure that'll be an ongoing conversation. That's what we're here for.
How we feel about barbecue chicken or pork or
Oh no, yeah, you can go a million directions. I was going specifically side dishes, not the meat, but cool. We can go wherever you want to go with it. I think he should stay, but I do not think it's a lock that he stays. I want to see what happens in Spain. I want to see as teams get relegated, as teams come up. I want to see what is offered to him because I think if there is an offer from Spain that he's good with and his wife is good with, I think they go back to Spain.
Yeah.
So I think there's a possibility of that, even beyond LAFC maybe not getting the deal done. I think Vela could be keeping the door open just enough to see what could happen in Spain. So I think he wants to be back there. All right, we got to get into the MLS Weekend Whiparound, but we're going to start with this that has popped up from Tutto Mercato Web and Nilton Jorge, who covers the game in French from Montreal, a must follow. And yes, you can hit the translation button on Twitter for him. Rumors emerging that Venezia could be looking to MLS for their new manager, and it could be one Giovanni Savarese. Your thoughts, Jared?
Go, Gio. I love Gio.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
Good.
Exactly. Okay, cool. We've hit that point then.
Yeah.
It's time, Gio. You took Portland to 2 cups. You got so much out of that team. That team's got to do a hard reset anyway.
Yeah.
Man, it's some big like Catwoman to Batman. Like you've given them you don't have to give them any more, buddy. Not to say that Portland's undeserving. Like Portland's been really, really good, and Gio has been fantastic there. It's time to move on. This isn't baseball where Bobby Cox stays in town for 2 decades. Gio, move on. Go to Europe. Go manage young, fun players, and let Portland do a hard reset and see what they want to do next.
Yeah, I think it's a good fit for everybody involved. Now, I mean, Venezia, we've talked about the challenges that they have in general, so it won't be easy for him. But yeah, if he gets the opportunity to go to Europe and take a job there and try to get them back up into Serie A, I would be more engaged with that than I would be because of their wonderful kids.
Yeah.
I would absolutely be following Venezia in the 2nd division if Gio goes there. So stay tuned. That's just popping up. It's silly season, and it's going to be really silly. Kylian Mbappe's mom is enjoying silly season. Now she's the one, according to Fabrizio Romano, who is saying that, yep, he's got offers from both. They're about the same. Kylian will make a decision. Everything's good. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's all upcoming. What's also upcoming is a very busy weekend in MLS, mostly on Sunday. Tons of games on Sunday night. Few games starting on Saturday, including Nashville and Atlanta. We'll be on the air on 92.9 The Game at 7 o'clock. Kickoff is going to be 7:55 on Fox, nationally televised game. So a long pregame Five Stripes countdown, a full-time report after the final whistle. You can also listen on the Odyssey app and on the Atlanta United app, and maybe possibly on SiriusXM FC. I'm not 100% sure of that one, or if they're taking the Nashville feed on that. They typically take the home feed, but Nashville isn't a typical radio setup, so they might take us. Who knows? We'll find out. But you can listen to us on Odyssey no matter what. Before that happens, Columbus hosts LAFC, 3:30 on Saturday. LAFC has won both of their games with Columbus. Total score 5-0. LAFC won the last time at the old Crew Stadium, 3-0. Crew have won 1 game in their last 8. 3 draws in that, too. It was a 3-0 win over DC United. Yippee. Columbus has had fewer than 13 points. That's what they got right now. They've had fewer than 13 points through 11 games just 3 times since 1996. Wasn't this supposed to be the bounce back year, Jarrett?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't bouncing anywhere.
Well, Caleb Porter alternates his years. He always has.
Yes.
Yeah,
Last year was
he
bad.
Forgot.
This was supposed to be a good year.
Somebody get him a new desk/floor calendar like John has. LAFC, they have lost consecutive matches for the first time since a 3-match losing streak last September. They've conceded multiple goals in each of their last 3 games, 1 draw, 2 losses, after conceding more than once, just twice in their first 9 games of 22. One reason why Columbus is struggling, Lucas Zelarayan hasn't really been all that involved. He's been involved in 1 goal in the Crew's last 8 games. He contributed to 6 goals in the team's first 3 games. Where he has contributed to a goal, that's a goal or an assist, 29 games that he's done that. Columbus has won 21 of them. They've only lost 4. That's including playoffs. In the 43 games that he didn't play since signing with the team or didn't contribute to a goal or an assist, they're only won 11 of those 43. Talk about dependence on a player. Lucas Zelarayan and Columbus. Oof. Carlos Vela, he had went 7 games without a goal, converted the penalty that he drew against Austin on Wednesday. That run of 7 equaled Vela's longest without getting a goal. What are the numbers between Columbus and LAFC?
Columbus, a +114. Your draw is a +252, and LAFC is a +227.
That's a tricky one to call because, I mean, that's 3 without a win for LAFC, but they've owned Columbus. Columbus has been bad too, but the game's in Columbus. LAFC coming off short rest. Columbus is not. That's a long trip for LA. There's a lot of factors here. Jarrett, what are you going with?
I'm going with a draw. I think LAFC gets back on the horse a bit here, but it's on the road. Columbus can be a little weird, and I don't really know if LAFC is coming back to earth a bit with regression with their defense. I know I'm kind of like half expecting them to regress a bit with the scoring, simply because so much of it was done off set pieces and recycling set pieces. So I think it's a draw.
I think it's a draw as well.
And I don't mean this to sound like LAFC is not a great team.
They're
competing for Supporter Shield for sure, but it's a tough. You lost on the road midweek, or at home. Excuse me. You lost at home midweek. Then you have to go across the country and play on the road a couple days later.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm going draw as well. I don't think Columbus is good enough to win it outright, but I think it's a kind of sloppy draw.
Yeah.
John?
Quick turn for Los Angeles, having played in the midweek, having to fly all the way across the country. I'm thinking sloppy mid-afternoon Saturday draw.
Also, the first time that Franco Escobar has seen the crew since he tried to fight half their staff.
I think he tried to fight 2 of their staff, and their staff might have provoked him as well. I think there was some provocation there. I'm going to give Franco the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully that guy's not on stretcher duty this time around, because Franco might smack him upside the head with a stretcher. Anyway, DC United hosting Toronto, 4:00 on Saturday. Last time they played, Toronto won 2-1 on May 19th. DC had not lost in the previous 4. Toronto has recorded multiple wins over DC in a single year, just twice, 2013 and 2016. DC lost 2-0 to NYC on Wednesday, 6th loss in their last 9. They've won 2 and drawn 1 in that 9-game stretch. 7th time in 9 that DC has allowed more than 1 goal. On the other side, Toronto's lost 5 straight, 4th longest losing streak in the club's MLS history. They've recorded 3 losing streaks of 5 or more in the last 12 months, after doing so just twice in their first 14 years. Yeah. Ola Kamara, 6 goals against Toronto. He's scored 6 goals against 4 teams. Toronto's 1, Montreal's 1, New England's 1, RSL is 1. 4 of those 6 he scored for DC against Toronto. Toronto, they're giving up goals. They haven't kept a clean sheet in their last 20 MLS matches, 1 shy of the club record of 21 set immediately before this run. Good job. In all, Toronto, 1 clean sheet in their last 42 MLS matches. Yeah, maybe you should have signed some defenders in the offseason. I don't know, fullbacks.
Or
those guys who play outside. You hold on, Jared. Those guys who play on the outside of the center backs, where you didn't have one. You let them walk. You didn't have one coming into the season. Oh, no, we'll just start the season with wingers playing fullback. Oh, wait, that doesn't work. We'll have Carlos Salcedo come in. He'll fix everything. Oh, that didn't work. We'll play 3 center backs and have them as wing backs. Well, that's a little bit better. Like, defenders, sign them. Then maybe you'll have more than 1 clean sheet in 42 games.
Oof.
Go ahead, Jared. I am sorry. Toronto got me ticked off.
I was going to say, you don't even have to sign guys. Just don't get rid of the guys you had. You had outside backs.
Yeah,
you didn't have depth, but you had
Richie
guys who could do the
went
job.
Went to England, so that one was one out of your control. I still do not understand the Kamar Lawrence situation, and I would love to have that explained to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because that didn't make any sense whatsoever. Alro seems like he wanted to go, but maybe that's a different situation that you could have kept him. You had those 3 guys. They're all gone. You didn't sign anybody else. Maybe you eventually did from the Canadian Premier League, but you're not really playing them. Anyway. Clown show defensively for Toronto these days. They've lost 5 in a row. Do they lose 6 in a row in Washington, D.C. this weekend? What are the numbers, John Nelson?
DC United's a -179. Your draw is a +342, and Toronto FC is basically a +430.
You know you're in bad shape when DC United, who's won 2 of 9, is an overwhelming favorite against you. Toronto, you should be embarrassed.
Oof.
And I have no idea what to pick with this game yet. John, what are you picking?
I'm just wondering what the over-under on emergency call-ups by Bob Bradley is going to be in this one. I'll go with
I don't know. Maybe sign players so you don't have to have emergency call-ups. It's a crazy idea.
I know. It's the normal number seems to be 4 on a weekly basis for Bob Bradley in Toronto.
They're not always emergency call-ups, also, by the way.
Hardship.
That has changed now. They're not hardship. No. That's even more in that line. I'm saying you can call guys up just because you want to. It doesn't have to be an emergency call-up. Remember, the rule changed this year. You can give guys games. They get 4 times they can be on the game day roster. They can only play in 2 games if they're not on an MLS contract, but they're under contract to your second team. So you can do that as a way to have extra depth. That's fine. But again, just sign fullbacks.
Yeah, I don't think DC's a -179, but I think DC gets it done, and it won't be pretty.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Jarrett, what are you picking?
DC, they rested Taxi Fontes in the midweek. He causes problems.
Is he enough?
He does evil to Toronto, and it's enough.
I don't want to pick DC.
Should
They're
you
really bad? No, I have to take something. I'm going to pick a stupid draw because these teams are kind of dumb right now. I think Taxi gets a goal, and I think Toronto has a goal deflect off of someone's backside, and it's a 1-1 because it's bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go 1-1. Cincinnati, New England, 6:00 on Saturday. Cincinnati defeated New England in their first meeting in 2019, but New England has won the 3 league matches since by a combined score of 7-1. They also beat them in the Open Cup. Adam Books has scored 3 of those 7 goals, 2 in a 4-1 win last August. Cincinnati, 4 straight wins, club record, 19 points through 12 games. Cincinnati is now 1 point away from equaling its points total through the entire 2021 season. The Revs 2-2 draw on Sunday in Atlanta, 6th straight MLS game in which New England has scored twice. The 6 straight games with multiple goals equals a club record. However, they are 2-2 in those 6 games. That's a problem. Luciano Acosta scored the winning goal on Saturday against Chicago. He has been involved in a goal in each of his last 5 MLS games, 4 goals, 1 assist. No player in Cincinnati's history has gone more than 3 straight with a goal contribution before Lucho did this. Buxa has scored in 5 straight for New England, longest streak by any player so far in 2022. Only 2 players in Revs history have scored in more than 5 straight regular season games. Taylor Twellman is one, which is not a surprise. In 2002, his first year with the club, he scored in 6 straight. Woldy Harris, going way back, 2007 straight games for Woldy Harris, a Clemson product, if I remember correctly. He's got the record. So Buxa needs to score in 2 more to get to that level. Does he score here, and does New England win on the road in Cincinnati? Jarrett, what are you thinking? What are the numbers first?
Yeah, give me numbers.
FC Cincinnati's a +177. Your draw's a +258, and the Revs are a +140.
Wait a minute, what?
Yep.
They have no respect for Cincinnati and Skyline Chili, do they?
Nope.
I mean, those should be separated. You can respect.
They can be
respect
what's yes.
You can
is their
respect
number
Cincinnati.
bad because of Skyline Chili?
That could very well be.
Their number might be bad because everyone's waiting for New England to actually turn the engine over, and they scored 2 goals against Atlanta in the week.
They've scored 2. The engine's been turned over. They've scored 2 goals in 6 straight games, but they've only won 2 of them.
Well,
it's not that engine that needs to get turned over.
Yes, the Matt Turner defensive engine. Although
The
Matt Turner
defensive engine is
made
broken.
save of the week last week.
Yep.
Is the only reason they didn't lose that game.
Yeah.
Give me a draw. Give me like a 2-2 draw again. Luciano Acosta is just absolutely torching people and insulting the earth when he's done.
As is Adam Buxa.
That's what I mean. That's why give me a 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
Okay. John?
Right there with you. I think that Luciano Acosta gets his. I think Buxa gets his. I think we have offense. I think it's a draw as well.
I think y'all are gutless, and I think you need to show some respect to what's that Lions name?
Showing respect
You're
to
gutless.
Cincinnati.
You're
all
gutless.
year.
What's the Lions name for Cincinnati? Is it Leo or is it something else?
I'll check it real quick.
I think it's Leo. That lion is roaring these
Uncreative
days.
name
For FC Cincinnati. It is. They could have done better. But that lion is killing it right now. Lucho Acosta is a little tiny lion. He's killing it right now. And Cincinnati wins at home to go
Gary.
5 straight. It's Gary, even more original. Gary the Lion will be very happy on Saturday night, and he will tuck into a giant bowl of Skyline chili after 5 straight wins for Cincinnati.
Gary the Lion.
I might have had a fever dream as I was saying all that about FC Cincinnati, but I am going to go with it. Montreal, RSL, 4 o'clock Sunday. Montreal, unbeaten in their last 5 against RSL. Montreal, perfect home record against RSL, winning all 4 games in Quebec. They've never kept a clean sheet, though. That's kind of weird. Montreal had an 8-game unbeaten run. Then they came to Nashville, and they lost 2-1. They've won 3 in a row at home, though. They haven't won 4 in a row at home since 2018. That's a long time. RSL, second come-from-behind win of the season on Saturday, beating Austin 2-1. They conceded first. They come back to win 2-1. They've won 7 matches in which it conceded first since the start of last season, including the playoffs. The most in MLS since the start of last season. RSL coming back to get wins. Kai Kamara, he scored the goal against Nashville. He has scored against 25 of the 28 teams in Major League Soccer. He had not scored against Nashville before that. He has not scored against Atlanta, by the way, and that's the team he's played the most against that he doesn't have a goal against. 133 regular season goals. He is now tied with Jaime Moreno for the 4th most in MLS history. 1 goal away from 3rd, Jeff Cunningham, 134 all time. What are the numbers for Montreal and Real Salt Lake?
CF Montreal maybe soon to be Impact a -145. Your draws a +277, and RSL's basically a +400.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Jarrett?
Montreal.
Yeah, I think Montreal handles it.
This is a pro Montreal podcast.
It might be. It might be. Charlotte hosting Vancouver, 5 o'clock at Bank of America Stadium in the Queen City. Vancouver has won its last 3 matches against expansion sides. You want to get into some weird numbers here. They have lost just 1 time of their last 8 against league newcomers dating back to 2017. 5 wins, 2 draws. They've only lost 1 away match against an expansion team in their expansion season. Portland in 2011, and they both came in that year. So there you go. Charlotte had won 4 in a row at home. They lost to Montreal on Saturday. 12 of Charlotte's 13 total points have come at home. Yeah, you know, they're going to have to get something on the road at some point. Mm-hmm. They're not on the road here, though. Vancouver, they are unbeaten in 3 straight. All at BC Place. They have not done so well on the road. They have lost their last 6 on the road, including all 5 this season. Karol Swiderski, Jarrett's favorite player these days. He has failed to score in his last 7 games, and not because he's not getting opportunities. He's had 18 shots on target this season, tied for 2nd most in MLS. 21 is the number with Hani Mukhtar as number 1. Shots on target. So Swiderski's been shooting. He's been putting shots on goal. He has not scored in 7 straight. Lucas Cavallini got the goal for Vancouver to get the win. He has scored in consecutive MLS matches for the first time in a while, but he's not going to get 3 in a row, at least not here, because he is suspended because he picked up a yellow card in that one. What are the numbers for Charlotte and Vancouver?
Charlotte's a -152. Your draws a +282. Vancouver is basically a +410.
Well-rested Charlotte against Vancouver, traveling across the country, and they're missing Cavallini. I got Charlotte 3-0.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink this one. 0-5 on the road this year. They've lost 6 in a row on the road. It's going to be 7, and it might not be pretty.
Yeah,
it would behoove Charlotte to get Swiderski back on track and or to get production from someone other than Karol Swiderski.
Yep, and I anticipate it will be a very busy day for Jess and Willie P. Style.
Willie P might not have a voice by the end of it. We'll see.
It should be fun for them. Sometimes you just need to get back on track. You just need to have somebody come in a bad situation and beat their brains into the ground.
That's true. NYC hosting Chicago. Speaking of what could be a bad situation, 5:00 on Sunday. Are they playing at Yankee Stadium or Citi Field or some other open park space in the 5 boroughs?
Efforting while you give the rest of the statistics.
New York City, unbeaten in 8 home matches against Chicago, and they probably played them in 6 different places. They've won the last 6. 6-game run for NYC. Longest home winning streak against a single opponent in MLS. Equals the Fire's second longest road losing streak to a single opponent, 6 at Kansas City. Only New England have ever had a longer winning streak at home against Chicago, 9 in a row, going back to 2002 to 2005. And those were some good Chicago teams at that time, too. NYC unbeaten in 6 straight. They won 5 of them. They won 2-0 over DC in the midweek. They've kept 4 consecutive clean sheets, equals the club record, which was set in 2018. The Fire, no wins in 8. 3-3 draw with Chicago, or with the Red Bulls on Wednesday. It was nuts. Chicago took the lead in the 89th. They conceded the equalizer in stoppage time. First time the Fire failed to win a match in which it led in the 89th minute since a draw with the Red Bulls, October of 2020. Alexander Callens opened the scoring for NYC, scored on a header off a corner. 6 of Callen's last 7 MLS goals have been scored via headers. All 6 of them have been scored off either a corner or a free kick. Shaqiri scored and assisted for Chicago in that 3-3 draw. He's been involved in 7 of Chicago's last 9 MLS goals. They haven't scored a whole lot of MLS goals. Where are they playing, John?
Citi Field.
Okay. What are the numbers?
Numbers are NYC's a -217. Your draws a +350, and the Fire are a +563 in the composite.
Well, at least Chicago was able to stay in the area after playing in Jersey on Wednesday, so travel won't be an issue. Both teams played midweek. NYC actually has more travel back up from DC. What do you think, Jarrett?
NYC and the Church of Tati is open to all who need it.
Okay. What do you think, John?
Same. Don't overthink it. NYC.
Yeah, I think NYC wins. Miami hosting the Red Bulls, 6:00 on Sunday. This is an intriguing one. Red Bulls have won 3 of their 4 matches against Miami. Red Bulls have not lost on the road this season. Miami, though, after a 4-match losing streak, they have only lost 2 of their last 7. 3-2-2. Hey, that's great for Miami these days. They have not won in their last 4, though. They had lost 2 in a row and then drew the last 2. Red Bulls had that 3-3 draw. They have not won at home. They have not lost on the road. It makes no sense. They're the first team in MLS history to go unbeaten in their first 6 away and winless in their first 6 at home. It makes no sense. Miami, 2 shots on target in their draw with Philadelphia on Wednesday. They have had 2 or fewer shots on target 20 times since they came into the league. Only Vancouver has done that more often since the start of 2020 when Miami came in. Patrick Klimala, he came off the bench to score against Chicago, second time this season. He did so twice against Chicago on April 30th. 9th player overall, 3rd Red Bull to score 3 goals as a sub against a single opponent in a single season. Again, nothing about the Red Bulls makes any sense.
No.
What are the numbers?
Let's see. The numbers. Inter Miami's a +276. Your draw's a +254, and the Red Bulls are a -104.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the biggest home dog that I remember seeing in MLS this season and probably in a long time. Jarrett, what are you taking?
I'm tempted to go Red Bulls, man.
Okay.
John?
I'm tempted to go Red Bulls as well. I'll go Red Bulls. Will extend their prowess on the road. They're 5-0-1. I think they'll go 6.
I don't. I think they'll be 5-0-2. I think it'll be a draw. I think they will be a little tired from the ridiculousness, and I don't think Miami's good enough to actually punish them for it. So I will go draw on that one in Fort Lauderdale. Dallas and Minnesota, 7:00 on Sunday. Minnesota unbeaten in 5 straight against Dallas after losing 5 of the first 7 times they played. Longer unbeaten run for Minnesota. The only one they have is against San Jose. Minnesota has owned your Quakes, Jarrett. How do you feel about that?
I feel like I don't trust Minnesota as far as I can throw them.
They own your Quakes, though. Dallas had a 9-match unbeaten run that ended with a 2-1 defeat at Vancouver on Wednesday. They've won 5 straight at home, though, and this will be in Frisco. Longest home winning streak in a single season since 6 in a row at home in 2015. Man, that's a long time ago. Minnesota, they had lost 3 in a row. They got a 1-1 draw against the Galaxy on Wednesday. Yay. Loons have also lost 3 straight on the road, winning just 1 of their last 8 away from home. Robin Ludd, 87th minute equalizer for Minnesota against the Galaxy on Wednesday. 8 of Ludd's 14 goals since the start of last season have been in the 75th minute or later. That's a crazy number.
Mm-hmm.
What are the numbers for Dallas and Minnesota overall?
Dallas is a -135. Your draws a +292, and Minnesota United, the Loons, are a +338.
Dallas.
Yeah,
I don't think that's even a hard one.
At some point, got to have a conversation about like what's the deal, Inchy? What's the game plan here, buddy?
Yeah, I think that conversation might need to be had without him.
It might. I told you the other day, like they have a very 2016's Falcons energy to me. Like post 2016, like Minnesota got to the precipice, should have beat Seattle to get to MLS Cup, and they didn't get it done, and they have been trying to crawl their way back there, and it hasn't gotten any better since that day, and it might be time to cut bait.
Yeah, I think it's past that time, unfortunately, for Adrian Heath. We will see if anyone else agrees who has a loon on their shirt. San Jose hosting Sporting Kansas City, 7:30 on Sunday. What's the deal with San Jose having all these 7:30 Eastern time kicks this season, Jarrett? I'm disappointed.
The hell you mean I'm disappointed?
I'm blaming
visiting team a chance to leave from the airport before it closes.
Well, that's true, but you could have it like a 6 o'clock or something or whatever. You could do a lot of different things so you don't have to get on a bus and drive to San Francisco to fly back overnight across the country.
Just saying.
Just saying. Yeah. San Jose, Kansas City, 7:30 Eastern time, Sunday. Kansas City. They have lost only 1 of their last 11 against San Jose in all competitions, including playoffs. Sporting has won 3 of its last 5 visits to San Jose, 3-1-1, after going winless in 18 straight from 2001 to 2016. Oof. But Kansas City's flipped that around. They've kind of owned the Quakes here lately. San Jose's won 3 straight at home, though. They'd only won 3 of the previous 19 at home before that. Going back to last season, San Jose has lost only 1 of its last 10 home league games. 5 draws, 4 wins in that. They lost to the Red Bulls on the opening day of this season. Kansas City got the 2-1 win over Colorado on Wednesday at home. Each team had 2 players sent off. Kansas City, first MLS team to win a match while having multiple players sent off since who did it in 2017, John?
Oh, goodness.
Just pick a team. There's 28 of them. There weren't that many in 2017.
Just pick one of the 28 teams. Don't worry about it.
Just pick one. What's your gut feeling?
San Jose.
No. Jarrett.
Kansas City.
No. Orlando did it in 2017.
That tracks, though.
Exactly. I'm disappointed that neither one of you said Orlando. Jamiro Montero recorded his first MLS brace in San Jose's 3-2 win over Portland. 3 goals already this season, 1 off the most he scored in a single season, but he played in Philadelphia where they don't like offense. Daniel Shalhoub. Here is the nugget of the week.
Okay.
Daniel Shalhoub scored both goals for Kansas City in the Wednesday win. He also got 1 of the red cards.
Yes.
Shalhoub is the 5th player in MLS history to notch a brace and be sent off in the same match. You got 4 other options, and you get a guess. John, who is one of the other 4?
Oh,
one of them is still playing in the league. One of them is involved in the league. One of them is a semi-legend, and if you get the other one, I will be absolutely shocked.
This is like the 432s.
Pick one.
Landon Donovan.
No. Landon Donovan didn't get sent off that much. Jarrett.
Tati Castellanos.
No, although that is a really good guess. Ola Kamara is the current player in the league who has done this. Taylor Twellman is involved in the league.
Okay.
Obafemi Martins is the other one in Seattle. And Ted Chronopoulos for the early New England Revolution. I think he did that when he was in New England. He might have played a couple other places, but I remember him as an early Revs player in some of those awesome early kits. Shallowy joins a very small club with 2 goals and a red in a game. What are the numbers in this one?
That close to a Gordie Howe hat trick in MLS. Your numbers: San Jose's a minus 141. Your draws a plus 301. Sporting Kansas City's basically a plus 350.
Wow. I didn't expect him to be that big, Jarrett. What are you picking?
Ooh. San Jose. Let's ride this train.
John?
No Shallowy, no Fontas, San Jose.
Yeah, I'm picking the Quakes as well. Austin, Orlando, the battle of the old Austin Aztecs. Because Orlando came from Austin originally. They like to tell you, all that stuff about built, not bought and all the stuff. Yeah, they were in Austin first. Austin gets to have their revenge as Orlando comes to town, 8 o'clock on Sunday. First time they have ever played. 2-1 win over LAFC in the midweek for Austin. They have scored 25 goals, most in MLS this season. Through their first 12 games last year, they scored 10 goals. They were shut out 7 times. Orlando, they've won 4 of their last 6. They're back on one of those bumps after they looked really weird there for a while. Now they fixed it. 4 out of 6 they've won. They beat Toronto on Saturday. The victory in Toronto was Orlando's 3rd in their last 5 on the road after winning only 2 of their previous 14 on the road. Sebastian Drusi, 11 goal contributions, 7 goals, 4 assists. Diego Fagundes, 9 goal contributions, 2 goals, 7 assists. No other pair of teammates has 9 or more goal contributions this season. Kyle Smith scored the stoppage time winner for Orlando against Toronto. 4th different defender to score for Orlando in 2022. Joel Moutinho, Juan, and Schlegel also got goals. Only Montreal has had more defenders score for them in 2022. They've had 5. That's a weird nugget as well. What are the numbers? Austin and Orlando.
Austin's a plus 110. Your draw's a plus 250. And Orlando City is a plus 236.
Jarrett, what are you thinking?
Austin.
John?
I'm going to keep riding that train.
I don't think it'll happen this time around. I think that the big win against LAFC midweek, having to turn around, come back against Orlando City, I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be exciting. Moments of crazy, but I think it'll be a draw just in time to celebrate Austin FC's new corporate partner in KLM, the official airline of Austin FC.
That was a really forced addition, but okay.
It was. Dropping breaking news in at the end.
Yeah. Sure. I am also going to go draw here. I do think Austin might have a little bit of a letdown, and Orlando's fresh. I know I believe in Austin now. I say that I believe in Austin now, but sometimes my
heretic will be.
But they played in the midweek. It's not so much that I don't believe in Austin. It's that they played in the midweek. Yeah. Orlando didn't. Orlando's been good on the road. I think Austin does enough to get a result, but I think they do have some heavy legs in this one, and Orlando doesn't. So I'm maybe giving Orlando more credit here. I'm not taking away from Austin. I'm maybe giving Orlando a little more credit. We'll see. Colorado, Seattle, 8 o'clock Sunday. Seattle have only won 1 of their last 5 against the Rapids. They had won 21 of the first 28 games against the Rapids. Rapids 22 straight without a loss at home, 13 wins, 9 draws, 5th longest regular season home unbeaten run in league history. They can tie the Galaxy's 23-match run in 14-15 with something in this one that is not a loss. Alex rolled on. Red card for Seattle. 1-0 win over Houston on Wednesday. They had gone 49 straight games without a red card, the Seattle Sounders. That's crazy. Colorado and Sporting Kansas City both had 2 players sent off in the match on Wednesday. Second time in MLS history that both players had multiple players sent off. That had only happened one other time. What 2 teams do you think had that happen?
I'll go San Jose, Los Angeles Galaxy.
Neither.
Oh,
I was thinking the Sports Center is next moment.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
No.
Mm.
Jarrett, take a guess.
Was Toronto involved in one of them?
No. One more team to guess.
Houston.
Nope. 2 teams. Well, one that doesn't exist anymore and one that kind of exists.
Chivas?
No. Miami Fusion and the Metro Stars in 2000.
Wow.
Each had 2 players see red in a meeting. Raul Ruidiaz scored the winner for Seattle. 5th goal over his last 5 starts in regular season play, dating back to last season. 52 goals for Raul Ruidiaz since debuting on July 21st, 2018. There are 2 players that have scored more goals since that date in MLS. One of them is Carlos Vela. He has the most in 55. Joseph Martinez, who missed all but 60 minutes or so of the 2020 season and then large portions of last season and then a large portion here, he's got more goals than Ruidiaz since Ruidiaz debuted with 53. I would not have guessed that with all of the time off that he's had, but Joseph, since July of 2018, second in the league in goals, right behind Vela. What are the numbers here for Colorado and Seattle?
Colorado and Seattle. Colorado's a minus 104. Your draw is a plus 256, and Seattle is a plus 274.
Jarrett?
Give me some. Give me the draw here. I want to take Seattle, but they're going to be missing. He did think about it.
Yeah,
this is accurate.
You thought about it. You didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I'm a coward.
Okay. Yep. John, are you a coward?
Yep, I'm a coward.
Yep. That would be accurate.
Anybody surprised by this?
No, I'm taking a draw as well, so I will join the cowardice just because I think Colorado missing 2 players.
Yeah.
Seattle missing a player. Colorado at home has been so good. I think a lot of it cancels itself out. So I'm going to go with a draw here and not a fun one either.
Yep.
Galaxy hosting Houston. Galaxy have won only 2 of their last 10 against Houston going back to 2017. That makes no sense with Houston not being good over that time frame. They are unbeaten in the last 4, 3 draws in the last 4. After scoring 5 times in 2 matches, winning both in early April, the Galaxy have 4 goals in their last 6 games, 2-2-2, failing to score more than once in any of those. They've conceded 5 goals in those 6 games. 3 of those came in their last home game. So they've been really good defensively, but not very good offensively. That is not LA Galaxy soccer. Things are strange. Houston had 1 player sent off in 2021. They have had players sent off 3 times already this season, including in each of their last 2. Chicharito failed to score for the 6th straight game in Minnesota. He has played more MLS matches in a row without scoring only 1 time. It was 7 straight in late 2020. See if he breaks that here. Darwin Quintero created 5 chances in the loss to Seattle, the most of any Dynamo player this season. He's got 3 matches this season with 3 or more chances created. All other Houston players have combined for 1 such game with 3 chances created or more in 2022. When we talk about chances created and what Atlanta's created and the goals that haven't come from it, that's the flip side.
Yeah.
Darwin Quintero, 3 games where he's created 3 or more. Only 1 other player has created 3 or more all season. Yeah, that's the flip side of it. It can be bleak, folks. What are the numbers for the Galaxy in Houston?
LAG are a minus 159. Your draw's a plus 292, and the Dynamo are a plus 432.
What are you picking, John?
I don't think it's the most riveting game in the world, but I think that the Galaxy get it done.
What are you picking, Jarrett?
Houston's going to grow up.
Oh. Are they?
Yep. This is Houston's moment to be adults. Get it done, Houston. I'm counting on you.
Really? You sure about that?
No. Still going to
Okay.
do it. Not sure about it, but I'm going to do it.
Huh.
You
I'm going to pick a draw.
Yeah.
A draw. I don't like the game. I think Houston does enough. I don't think the Galaxy can score goals right now, so I will go draw there. I don't like that game at all. I won't be watching it. I probably won't be watching the 10 o'clock game on Sunday either, as Philadelphia goes out to Portland. Yeah, it could get interesting. Union, second win in 12 against Portland with a home win last season. Philadelphia has managed just 1 point in 5 trips to Providence Park, a draw in 2014. Portland, they lost 3-2 to San Jose on Wednesday. They have 3 wins from their first 13 games of the season, fewest at this stage of the season ever, tied with 2012 and 2014. 14 goals scored in Portland's last 2. They've scored 9. They conceded 5, the most in a 2-match span in club history. Goals, Philadelphia, what are those? Scoreless meeting with Miami on Wednesday, club's 5th consecutive draw. Philadelphia could become the 4th team in MLS history to play 6 straight regular season draws. They will go into the hearts of John Nelson with another draw. Chicago in 2014 was the last team to have 6 straight regular season draws. Bill Tuiloma has scored in consecutive matches for the first time in his career for the Timbers. He has as many goals this season, 4, as he had in his first 4 seasons combined.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, scoreless draw with Miami on Wednesday, ended a run of 25 straight games with a goal. Just not a lot of goals, but they have been scoring at least one, longest streak in club history. It's been over 4 years since the Union had been shut out in consecutive games in a single season, going back to May of 2018. What are the numbers in this one?
Let's see. We've got Portland at a plus 138.
Mm-hmm.
Your draws a plus 242, and the Union a plus 190.
Yeah, nobody knows what to do with this. Jarrett, do you? Guessing that silence is no, you don't know what to do with this.
No, the answer is yeah, I don't know what to do with this. What the hell is anybody supposed to do with this? It's just going to be I mean, how much are you actually going to be? How much are you actually going to see them be allowed to play and not beat the dog out of each other? So, you know what? Give me a draw and give me another game. Give me another game where Philadelphia has the lead and throws it away, and Jim Curtin gets mad. That feels like a thing.
That does feel like a thing. Okay. What are you picking, John?
I'll go 1-1 draw to make it 6.
Of course you would go for the record-setting draw.
You know,
Gives John life.
It does. I've picked a lot of draws this week as well, so I shouldn't say anything. But it feels like that kind of a week. It does. I don't feel good about it.
All the midweek action has kind of pushed opinions to those draws here on the weekend.
It's the matchups, too. It's not just the midweeks. It's the matchups kind of lend itself that way. I think Portland's got to grow up. I think Portland needs to show something here. And Philadelphia played in the midweek, have to go across the country. Portland just came back up the West Coast. I think the Timbers get a win at home. They scored 7 against Sporting Kansas City. That's got to mean something. They scored 2 more in San Jose. It's got to mean something. They've got to find some goals here. And I don't know if Philadelphia can find enough. I think the Timbers get the win at home to end the weekend.
And Gio Savarese continues his path toward being the new head coach at Venezia.
Possibly, allegedly, maybe. Silly season is silly.
Check.
Yes. We don't have fantasy updates because you needed to get your picks in the midweek because almost everybody played in the midweek. So you really needed to have your team already done. Mm-hmm. So you can't, there's not much you can really do about it. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. I do wish, like I said in the midweek, that MLS would get their weeks and fantasy weeks like the same as opposed to being different, because Wednesday was its own week in MLS circles, but not in fantasy circles.
Yep.
Which makes no sense whatsoever at all. Nothing. Please, can we get some consistency here? Please. That's what I want.
Good luck on that.
No.
I mean, it shouldn't be that hard, but
No.
yes, that's basically where we are. So that's going to do it for us for the week. We will be back on Monday morning. Tomorrow, again, coverage will start at 7 o'clock on 92.9, the game of Atlanta and Nashville. You know, I think in that match, you're looking for a good, quick start for Atlanta against the Nashville team that's played a lot of minutes here lately. They've played a lot more minutes than Atlanta has over the last couple of weeks. Atlanta has to take advantage of it. I think they should build confidence from the game in the Open Cup. You've got to continue to build that chemistry and clean up the mistakes. You've got to continue to get on the same page defensively. You've got to work on that, but ultimately, this team is going to be successful if they're scoring goals and putting pressure on opponents in the other half of the field. And Atlanta's shown the ability to do that both on the ball and when they don't have the ball, pressing up high. And I think Nashville's a team that they can disrupt doing that. Now, because I don't think it's an if, I think it's a when Nashville then reverts to playing long ball and trying to win the second ball, then Atlanta has to switch in a little bit of their mentality. Not entirely. You're not just going to completely drop off. But then they have to try to prevent the long ball from being played initially, and they have to win the second ball. That's where I think a player like Franco Ibarra could be the most important player on the pitch for Atlanta United tomorrow. We'll talk more about that in the pregame. 7 o'clock, 92.9 the game. Odyssey app, Atlanta United app. Kickoff 7:55. You can watch on Big Fox. You can watch on Fox Deportes as well. You can listen to us. You can listen to El Mejor as well if you want to listen in Spanish. And full-time report for an hour after the final whistle tomorrow. We'll have a full-time report, hopefully with music from Nashville artists, but Atlanta's got to get the win. I want another good performance. I think if they have a good performance, they are good enough to win in a place that nobody has won yet, and at a place that nobody has come into the Music City and won since late 2020. This is a tough place to play. The grass will be short. That's how Gary Smith wants it right now. That's been a big talking point on their broadcast. The field is huge. It will be packed at Geodis Park. It won't be easy, but I think Atlanta's good enough to get a win if they play their best and they make Nashville uncomfortable after playing all these minutes. We'll see how it plays out. We'll talk about it on Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us this week, all week, with all of our guests. And y'all have a good weekend. Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.